Welcome back. In the midst of ongoing economic reforms, President Bola Tinubu has reassured the populace of his administration's commitment to easing hardship. Now, the president noted in his Christmas message to Nigerians that Nigerians have had to make special sacrifices in order to carry out the reform that are required to attain greater national prosperity this year. According to him, Nigeria would undergo substantial upheaval and change in 2023. Now, he also sent his joyous congratulations to Nigerians, emphasizing the concept of compassion, change, and hope. Still with us this morning virtually, we have Mr. Charles Ideho, a public affairs analyst and then a journalist as well. And we also have Mr. Chukwuma Okoro, who is also a public affairs analyst. So I'm going to start off with Mr. Chukwuma Okoro. Now, the president is coming out to encourage Nigerians. This is not the first time he's doing that. This is not the second time. I want to know your thoughts on it, seeing how the country has been so far. He took power for over 7 months or more than now. What are your thoughts on what he said?
The first thing I'll do is to accept his Christmas message because I'm a Christian. So I will accept his Christmas message. But while reading the message, I also had to dissect it because when the president talked about making unique sacrifices, that is the one that almost got me angry. You know, that's the one that got me angry because if I have a stakeholding with you in something and you keep telling me to make sacrifices when you don't make the same sacrifices to ensure that we move forward, it makes me look like a fool before you. I consider myself as a fool if I keep making the sacrifices and you don't, and you keep telling me to continue making the sacrifices. It makes me feel like you are deceiving me. That is exactly what I see in the president's statement. I have said it severally on this forum and elsewhere that the best thing the best thing the leadership of this country can do is to lead by example. And how do they lead by example? They have to lead by example by making those unique and special sacrifices for Nigerians to see before they can turn around to ask Nigerians to make similar sacrifices. And if you ask me about the past 7 months have been hellish. Inflation is on the increase. Insecurity is on the increase. Hardship is on the increase. Income is falling. Nothing is happening. Price of staple food. The other day I said it here. The standard loaf of bread, which we used to buy 250 in the past 7 months, is now 650 naira. A penta of gari, which we used to buy 350, is now 800 naira. Gas, 1 kg of gas is 1,200 in my area. I don't know about other areas. And in the midst of this, we have a president asking us to make sacrifices. When he earmarks 20 billion naira to refurbish or to build a new house for his vice, what happened to Agoda House? Is number 4 Downing Street as expensive as that? Is the White House as expensive as that? Yeah, these people come out with better policies that impact massively on the people. So it makes me feel that the president is lying to me or that he's trying to deceive me if he asks me to make unique sacrifices when he turns around to use 160 million naira to buy a car for a member of the National Assembly who probably visits his constituency once or twice in 2 months. So what is the use of that? And this is a man who also wants to use 25,000 naira to give to an indigent farmer in the village. 25,000 naira that cannot last you probably for 2 weeks as an average Nigerian. If you manage it so efficiently, it cannot last you. So when they keep saying these things, the other day I said, Some of these things are written for the president. They write it for him and ask him, sir, please read this to the public. Is that the kind of president we should have? We should have a president who knows it much more than every other person. To the point that if you are advising him, he understands the kind of advice you are giving him. I'm not somebody who come and tell, no, this is what we are. And I'm somewhat disappointed with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because as a governor of Lagos State, he came across to me as somebody who had it up. But I'm not seeing that. No policy initiatives. Look at what is happening with the Naira, with the Naira Nigerians. The only thing they are talking about is how to borrow money and pump it into the system to increase inflation. Is that how we are going to survive? And you're asking us to make unique sacrifices.
Okay.
I'm bitter. I'm utterly bitter.
I understand. I can feel that in your voice. I can feel that in your voice. Now let me come to Charles now. Charles, I'm going to read an excerpt from the President's Christmas Day message. The President did say, he says, my administration will continue to implement palliative measures to ease the burden on the most vulnerable, address current hardships, and alleviate the suffering of all our nation's people. Now, that's, an excerpt from the President's speech. Now, the President said he will continue to implement palliative measures. Let's look at the 25,000 naira to homes, the one Charles, the one Chukwuma mentioned just now. A lot of that has not been paid. Let's look at the 25,000 naira wage award for civil servants. A lot of that has not been paid. That was paid once. Let's also look at salaries. It was on the paper this morning that salaries of civil servants, federal civil servants, has not been paid for December. And today is the 26th. Usually, this will come before the festive period. If it's Christmas, it comes before Christmas. If it's Eid el-Kabir, it comes before, some days before, so people can use that to celebrate. But we have a situation whereby that has not been paid. Are we being too hard on the president? Because in the papers today, certain organizations are saying, the head of service is saying, look, it's not us. We are not the ones that haven't paid. Money has not been given to us. And they're also saying it's, certain, the bulk is being passed around now as to why people are not collecting what government is saying is due unto them due to effects of the removal of subsidy, and the salaries also not being paid. Are we being too hard on Mr. President, or is Mr. President not aware of what is going on? Is he speaking without being in the know of what is going on behind him?
Maybe we should revert the question. Isn't the president too hard on us? Yes. And I studied English language, Moses, and so I know I'm very use of words. These twin words that he used in part of his speech, I hate to hear them. Palliatives, alleviate. These are not far-reaching measures. When you say palliatives, it's a stopgap measure, not measure that will uproot poverty out of the system. Palliative is something you do, excuse me, like somebody is sick in a hospital. Let's just give him an analgesic to make him sleep. But you have not taken that ailment out of his system. That's palliative. The man is still in pain, but let's just keep him asleep. When he wakes up into the pains, because when the effect of the analgesic has stopped, the pains return. That's exactly what we are facing. Whenever you hear palliative, always cast your mind to this analogy I just gave you, Moses. Then alleviate has to do with reducing. Excuse me, I have fog in my throat.
Sorry about that.
Good.
I think it's the weather.
So when you alleviate, what it means is that you are reducing the burden or you are reducing the pain somebody is feeling. But can we talk about totally removing? I think there are words for you use in taking outright.
Eradicates.
But
expunge.
good. So when you keep giving palliative measures that you find as a stopgap, that the pains will return after the effect of that palliative has gone. What now happens after you now give another analgesics again for the person to go back to sleep? That's exactly what has been happening over the years. Poverty alleviation, they have not even sustained a bit. Let me say, in the course of last week, there was news, particularly on Friday or Thursday, the news about a certain Okwete who happened to be a contractor to the Ministry of Humanitarian and Disaster, where you have the Sadiq woman, that woman.
Yes, the
The man right now is squealing in the DSS FCC detention. How he made 37, you can't account for 37 billion naira as we speak, out of the 150 billion naira that they wasted by that ministry. Remember during the COVID-19, they said they were doing what they call the school feeding system.
Yes.
They never fed anyone. How about the conditional cash transfer they said they were giving to all households? I never saw any household that ever received that. Then you are now promising another one, saying you want to give people 25,000 naira that they never got. You gave a salary, you dashed people salary. You said it will happen. Suddenly you say, no, only wants to and all that. So I think that Tinubu is not in charge. He himself, you remember what he said, the mantra that brought him to power was Emilokon. Emilokon in Yoruba means it is my turn. Others have been doing their own. Let me also go there. So that in the annals of Nigeria, Tinubu will also, receive a space as what the president of the Republic. I went to recently, I think about last month, I went to a museum that is run by Lagos State government. We went there. I saw the photos of Azikiwe, so year to so year. I saw the photo of Obasanjo from so year to so year. I saw the photo, and I also saw the photo of President Buhari, 2023, and then he put ellipsis. We don't know it's going to end, whether it's going to end the first term, or whether his mandate will be renewed for another 4 years. That's exactly what brought Tinubu there. You understand? So when we get into the nitty-gritty, the system that he's running, even the economy that we are having today, and maybe I mentioned it some time ago when I was on your show, Moses. When you use bankers to drive the economy will never be driven. Yemi Cardoso has banking background. Wale Adu banking background. What's the name of that man? Is the head of FIRS, banking background. All the things that bankers think about is about interest rate, about taxes, about interest rates and tax and all that. Who among them has the experience that the Okojo Iwelas of this world have, or the Chasoludo of this world have? All of them are not that. Who has both banking background and economic background. So bankers are the ones that are running the economy, and there's no way we can get out of the quagmire except we have a thoroughbred economist as the head of the economic committee or commission, whatever you want to give, whatever nomenclature you want to give in Nigeria. So whatever Tinubu is doing now, they're just palliative. Of course, he said he will continue with the palliative measure. Then he will also continue with the policies to alleviate the suffering of Nigeria, which of course will never be brought to a stop at all, or be brought to a halt. You're going to alleviate, people are going to be suffering, but it's going to reduce their suffering. So in a country like that, you will never get out of the woods when you have a government that's always talking about palliative and talking about alleviation and not putting a total stop to all these things.
All right,
Moses.
Well, The words of Charles here are not giving hope, actually, because he says you will never. that takes away from, the hope that some Nigerians will want to hold on to. So,
it's the reality. Mostly it's the reality on ground. I'm not just being a prophet of doom. It's the reality on ground that, making me to say so.
I understand. I understand. But let me come to Chukwuma now. I'm going to also, I know you want to respond because I heard you chuckle or you made a sound when Charles was speaking earlier. So I perceive that you want to respond to the question I asked him. But as you make to respond, let's also lump another excerpt from the president's speech and see if you can pick out a few things from there as well. Maybe something that will give hope, maybe not. The president also did say that, fellow Nigerians, as we navigate this transition to stability, prosperity, and renewed hope, I urge you once more to hold fast and rest assured of my commitment to govern with vision, dedication, and empathy. Key word there, empathy. He says, be confident that by the strength of our joint endeavor, we will shortly emerge into a new dawn of prosperity, peace, and irreversible progress. Those were part of his words, an excerpt from his speech. Chukwuma.
Moses, you see, when we look at some of these things, I have a background. I'm a journalist. I'm also a speechwriter. I've worked as speechwriter to a lot of people in government, and it will surprise you that during festive periods like this, you'll be called up to write a speech. just
I don't really agree.
No, honestly. No, you are just asked to
write a speech. You know what he means, right?
Yes. And you don't even have an interface with the person that is going to read the speech. You don't have an interface to read into the person's mind, because that is actually what speech writing is all about. You have an interface with the person, have like 5-10 minutes discussion, and you're supposed to have worked with this person for like 6 months, 8 months, 1 year to be able to predict his mind.
Okay.
But here, what happens is you are called up to write a speech, and when the speech misfired, you have a department that comes to say what the president, what Americans call it, what the president meant to say. You understand what the president meant to say when the speech goes awry. So that is exactly what has happened, because I don't see, there's a mismatch between words and action in what the president has told us and what we see. Because if you ask me, the first steps is like, if you make a false start in a 100-meter race, you hardly ever make a good ending. If you make a false start in a 100-meter race, hardly. Hardly, it's an exception. Hardly do you see the person make a happy end. Moses, I know you are itching for me to give my final thoughts. My final thoughts are these. Yes. You are pressed with time, right?
Yes.
My final thoughts are these. Charles, if you hear Thailand, Moses, if you hear Thailand, what comes into your mind? The first thing that comes into your mind is rice.
Yeah.
If you hear about Saudi Arabia, the first thing that comes into your mind is oil. If you hear about Russia, the first thing that comes into your mind is gas. So
gas and grain.
Let us reinvent Nigeria to the point that the moment you hear about Nigeria, agriculture comes into your mind. That is the only thing that can take us out of the woods. That's it for me.
All right, thank you very much. Charles, please, your concluding thoughts as well.
Well, my concluding point is that Tinubu must go back to pick all these copies of what he said in the past, when he was with Dandeco, then when he became governor, on the platform of AD that metamorphosed into AC, AC to ACN, ACN now he became the leader of APC, national leader of APC, and from there he metamorphosed into the president. So he had been given all the promises about knowing what would make Nigeria great. It's not about rhetorics, it's about going back to all these papers he gave, all these speeches, and then to start reinventing them for him to become the leader he ever envisaged to be in the past.
All right, then. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We've been speaking with Charles Ideho and Chukwuma Okoro, both journalists and public affairs commentators. We thank you very much for your robust analysis on the program.
Thank
All right, we'll take a
Thank
break
you.
now. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be getting into business. Stay with us.